Good morning. Did you ever just get up first thing in the morning and want to shoot a video because you have a thought and you want to communicate that thought? Well, that's what I just did. It's first thing in the morning, and I'm thinking that why we actually get really nervous speaking in front of people. Like, where does stage fright actually come from? And I started thinking about times in my life where I would get huge stage fright. Like in high school, I was very, very shy. I didn't like being in front of people. Speaking in front of large groups of people, like a classroom, was one of the scariest things ever for me. And I remember I used to like the first speech of the year in speech class in high school, I gave a speech. It was like an introductory speech. I was shaking. I think my face even got a little white, like I was about to faint or something. And I didn't even remember most of my speech. I just got through it, and then I went and sat back down. Adrenaline was going crazy. And it's easy to just think like, oh, that's just stage fright. You know, that's what you have. It's a thing, right? Or like anxiety, that's just a thing. But a lot of people don't question where it comes from. And a lot of people even get mad if you question where their anxiety is coming from. They're just like, no, it's just anxiety. No, I just have stage fright, that's it. But what if you actually could overcome it? Or what if you could let it subside? I noticed that throughout speech class. Now, remember, I'm like I said, I was really shy. I was probably the quietest kid in that class. Maybe there was like one other person who was quieter than me or as quiet as me, but like I was like the quiet kid. And it was just very intimidating to go speak in front of the class. But what I noticed is by the end, I started going up and getting used to it. My last speech, I could look people in the eye as I was giving my speech, and I wasn't really that nervous. And I remember before that last speech, actually, I was rehearsing the speech in my head the day before, and I was going over the information that I was about to speak about the next day over and over again, because I didn't want to feel nervous. I wanted to feel very, very prepared. And it helped a lot. And that's kind of what I'm gonna get into a little bit in this video, is like preparing what you're going to say, but also a little bit deeper, preparing yourself. Okay, so did you ever notice how some people, when they give a speech, they just seem like they're trying to get through it? They just have like slides, or they have a few topics, and they're like, all right, so this is the thing, this is the next thing. And a lot of times these people can be pretty nervous too, like really stiff up when they're speaking in front of other people. And I talk a lot about social anxiety and overcoming like anxiety in social situations on this channel. And I think that kind of relates to this. And I'll explain how. So when somebody's giving a speech, like me personally, I know that I'm more nervous when you just throw me up in front of a group of people and you're like, hey, speak on this topic. And then I'm like supposed to be some kind of authority on the topic, even though I haven't really studied the topic. That's like my worst nightmare, giving a speech on something that I don't know about and everybody's expecting me to know about it. I'm just going to admit that I don't know much about it and try to speak from my heart. But yeah, that kind of shows how much just knowing about the topic that you're speaking about is important. So imagine that you have, like, you're taking some class or some course or something, and you're expected to give a speech at the end of the week. And you're like, okay, I'm going to give a speech on this. You choose a topic, and you haven't studied it yet. If you get up in front of everybody and you didn't study all week for the speech that you're about to give them, you should be nervous, really nervous. You should feel ashamed. Well, okay, maybe not ashamed, but like, I think you get what I mean. Like, what you're doing is you're being lazy and not studying the thing that you were supposed to study so that you could give a good speech to these people and not waste an hour of their life or 10 minutes of their life, however long your speech was. Like, you're actually giving them something by studying this topic and then giving a speech on it. Me with this video, for instance, I was actually going to mention this because I thought it was interesting. I don't feel like I'm in my head or like nervous speaking to the camera in this video. I feel like I can speak on this particular topic very well because I've thought about it a lot in the last couple of years, it's come back in my head and I've like considered it. I'm like, the topic of this video. But also, this video is not intended for me to be some authority on a topic. Actually, it's meant to just start a conversation because I think it's interesting to think about, like, you know, preparing for a speech and not being as nervous. So that's one aspect of it. So how does it relate to like social anxiety, like somebody who's nervous in social situations? Well, one, does that mean that you go into a social situation and you're not familiar with a topic and then you feel nervous talking about that topic? Not really, right? Because conversations with people that we have just on a daily basis are going to involve new topics all the time. Like you should always be interested in talking about new stuff with people and not just like, you know, talking about only stuff that you know about. So I think a huge part of having anxiety in social situations in general is, you know, unlike in a speech where you can prepare the topic that you're speaking on, I think that it's more about preparing yourself almost for social situations. I noticed that my social anxiety, or my, I don't even know if I call it that now, like nowadays, it's just like, I feel kind of like shame, or I feel like weird. I feel like I'm not bringing my best self into social interactions if I have an image in my head of who I want to be. Like maybe this guy who reads, or this guy who is capable of being a leader and taking care of myself. And I'm 28 years old now, so I want to start getting to the point where I can take care of the people around me, so I can take care of a family, so I can take care of a partner. I want to get to that point. And if I like spend a night or like a couple nights in a row just sitting at home, eating junk food, watching porn, avoiding responsibility, and then I, you know, talk to a girl that I have a crush on, or if I talk to, you know, a friend, or if I talk to a new person, and I have this image in my head of who I want to be, of who I want to portray myself, but I feel like I haven't been acting like that person, then I'm going to feel more nervous, and I'm going to feel just like more inadequate because I haven't been doing things that align with who I want to be. I haven't been being a capable person. You know, like I said, that person who wants to kind of take care of the people around him. So I don't know if you've ever done anything like in secrecy before, like maybe stuff that you're ashamed of or stuff that you really don't want to do. Like whether it is, like if you look at somebody who binges on junk food or plays video games all night, or, you know, watches porn. A lot of guys do that now. Everybody does that stuff, or not everybody, but a lot of people do that stuff in secrecy. They're not open about it. So I feel like anything that you do in secrecy that you're not willing to like show other people can kind of lead you to feel like anxious in social situations, because it's like you're not proud of what you're doing in your spare time. And think about it, if you don't feel good about what you're doing in your spare time, like let's say the example of having a speech on Friday and it's Monday, if for the whole week you're basically going through the week and trying to minimize the anxiety that you're feeling about the speech, you're trying to make yourself feel better, you're putting your feelings above being prepared for the actual speech that people are going to watch you give, that people are going to be there for. Like, you're making your feelings more important than delivering a good speech, so that you don't waste 20 minutes of everybody's time or 30 minutes of everybody's time, so that you actually give them something they can take away from that speech. Because if you take the time to actually study a little bit, maybe each night, like take like 10 to 20 minutes to just like prepare each part of your speech and make sure that it's good and make sure that you know the information well that you're presenting, you can actually give people something to take away from it. So that's like the overall thing in this video. That's the overall topic in this video, is like, you're going to feel less stage fright if you actually prepare yourself for the speech, because like I said, you're putting the quality of the speech for the people that you're giving the speech to above your own feelings. You're being more selfless, less selfish, more selfless. And not only are you going to feel better about that, right? Because remember, you're supposed to be, in this idea, you're putting your feelings aside. So it doesn't actually matter how you feel when you're giving the speech. Literally, you're just saying like, yo, it's more important for me to give a good speech. So your feelings almost become like irrelevant. Your stage fright almost becomes irrelevant. It doesn't even matter if you're shaking a little bit, or it doesn't even matter if you're nervous up there. You prepared yourself for that speech, and you're going to do the best that you possibly can. You prepared yourself the best that you possibly can. So those are kind of my thoughts on stage fright. And really, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, why does stage fright matter more than the speech that you're giving to people? Because getting stage fright, I think, often comes from us just thinking about our image and how we're coming off to people, as opposed to the actual speech that we're giving, the information that we're giving, the experience that we're giving to the people that we're talking to. When you make the experience that you're giving people the most important thing, then you can just focus on that. I feel like there was one more thought on my mind. So at the end of the day, it comes down to preparation and making sure that you're being the person in your spare time that you want to be when it comes to stage fright and just general anxiety in social situations. If this video hit you, or if you have other thoughts on it, like I said, I'm starting a conversation with this video. So leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time.